So, welcome everybody to Chasing Ideal Education, hosted by the Whole Dyslexic Society. Sharon Roberts, as usual, has written a wonderful article for our newsletter, and now we're going to discuss it. I then edit it, and it will be posted as a podcast. All of this you can find at www.thewds.org. One third of the population learn in a way that is not totally supported by our current education system. We're often asked, where can we send our child? In all honesty, and my experience goes, I haven't found a school yet which deals with the wonderful gift of being able to alter our perception, which is at the root of our learning challenges, whether the school is public or private or a special school for dyslexics. They all use the methods that have caused the problem in the first place. Not a cheerful note to start on. So Sharon set off to see what is available around the world, and her first stop is in Bali. A very welcome visit on a snowy day like today. Sharon, thank you for doing this. And the pictures were beautiful. Perhaps we can add them to the podcast somehow. They look so inviting.
Yes, I could go to school there.
Me too. So you start off by saying, what does dyslexia and the environment have in common? More than you can imagine. The Green School, created by Canadian John Hardy, a self-proclaimed dyslexic, first made its entrance in Bali. The school was launched in 2008, and now there are schools in New Zealand and South Africa and soon to be in Tulum. The word green is synonymous with the environment, so it goes without saying that it focuses on conservation, the environment, and the preservation of all matters green. Its focus is education in sustainability throughout community-integrated entrepreneurial learning in a wall-less and nature-immersed environment. No bricks and mortar.
Sounds very sophisticated, doesn't it?
Mm-hmm.
The pictures, for those that don't have access to it, it's very wide open and breezy. And this man, John Hardy, originally went to Bali and had a jewelry business made out of bamboo. He and his wife homeschooled their children. And from that homeschooling experience and then knowing how resourceful bamboo is, he created this school. So that's how it all started.
Very cool.
Yeah.
And you say, for example, their whiteboards are made from recycled old auto windshields that have white paper attached to the back, so no PVC on site.
Yeah.
Other green items include tapioca fences, cuttings planted close together to create living fences, composting toilets, and pavements which are petrochemical free. This is all designed to empower students to become architects of change. What an example, hey?
Yeah, I'm trying to imagine pavement without petrol. I wish I knew what it was made of. I couldn't find that out.
So no asphalt, I presume. I don't honestly know enough about that.
Yeah.
The campus sits on 23 acres of lush tropical landscape and includes gardens for every grade, a natural pool, and a wall-less yoga studio next to the river. The school is currently the largest bamboo structure in the world. Even the lockers and shoe cubbies are made of bamboo. That's a huge achievement.
Yeah.
It sounds like a spa.
I know.
I want to go.
The reason why I brought that to the article was we think about people with learning disabilities and we have our Davis side, but there's other sides to it as well, which is often they're very sensitive to chemicals and pollution. And that would be a very, I would assume, very clean place to learn, which would affect their brain, I would think.
That's a really good point. Definitely. The school emphasizes hands-on learning, which is what we enjoy, and students participate in activities such as making soap from coconuts and calculating carbon footprints. They regularly take time to practice mindfulness and meditation. On top of all of this are shared the activities when teachers and parents are working alongside local Balinese people.
If we go to that pyramid that I showed you, which indicates how to create a thriving person, that connection to community is really important to people in Bali. And I would assume at the other schools as well.
You mentioned the pyramid, which we should help our listeners to understand. The base of the pyramid is the physiological need. And then the next one up is a need for safety and security. The next need is love and belonging. Then the one after that towards the top is self-esteem. And the very top one is self-actualization.
To create an environment for someone to thrive.
And I have a very simple pyramid in my support guide where the bottom one is the same physiological survival, warmth, food, shelter, that type of thing. And then it's also love and belonging, followed by power, fun, and freedom.
Yeah.
And if those basic needs are not met, that leads to a behavior arising. The behavior meets one of those needs, but if you fulfill the need, then you don't get the behavior. True to philosophical form, the growing and harvesting of bamboo is a community event. One woman processes more than 400 seedlings a day, which can then be split again in a few months, which will reap hundreds and thousands of tiny future shoots of bamboo. These seedlings are taken to surrounding villages and given to farmers to plant, which allows the plant to suck up more CO2 and deliver oxygen. In 5 years, when the bamboo is fully grown, the school goes back and buys the bamboo from the farm.
Yeah, isn't that cool?
Talk about full circle.
Yeah. And to be able, like as a child, to see that, the impact that they're having.
5 years is a good time for children to be able to see that, as you say, right?
Yeah.
It's so much in line with where we really should be going, don't you think?
Mhm.
The new farming is regenerative farming, isn't it?
Yeah. And it teaches so many skills at the same time. Yeah.
Absolutely. And the intention of the school is to create a love of learning, conducive for students to explore their passions and realize that they can affect change. This means the child has to be free from fear before anything else can be achieved, free from failure and the fear of the learning process. This is supported by the idea that mistakes provide an opportunity to learn.
Davis, we do that. Yeah. And here's the example coming up, where the mistake happened.
Oh, yeah, this is lovely. The middle school bridge projects demonstrate this philosophy. Students were asked to build a bridge over the river that runs through the school and connects two campuses. Many disciplines were used, including math, physics, building techniques, plus teamwork and collaboration. A few years ago, there was a massive flood and the bridge collapsed. Students went back to the classroom to figure out what happened and uncover their mistakes, and most of that learning came from consulting builders. Students designed bridges, calculated the costs, dragged heavy cables, measured, cut and attached bamboo, and conducted load tests. Sounds like they were project managers for a building.
Yeah. Yeah. And then they're working with professional people and they're integrating with the community.
Jess, you got to see your son doing that, don't you think?
Oh, yeah. I mean, that's kind of what I was thinking was how in line with Orson's style of learning that is, which is just like hands-on life skills. Did you know that that was physics? This is a physics thing. You know, that's the math thing that we were doing because,
Yeah.
you know, when you say math, it automatically gives them anxiety, but to be doing something using math skills, he's actually really good at that. So it's interesting to me. So this all sounds great.
Well, if somebody had told me that cooking was chemistry, I
Yeah.
wouldn't have been so bored.
Well, physics, the bridge building, for instance, there would be a lot of physics involved with that, especially with it being washed out. Like what force was needed to wash that out, and what force do you need it to be able to withstand to stay put? That's all physics.
Very cool. Their approach is holistic and defies the traditional classroom setting of scheduled time for different subjects. It uses real life opportunities with a green twist to indirectly teach children traditional core subjects. It's likened to days when you would hide your child's vegetables in the soup. The child gets the benefits of eating the vegetables without the task of eating them directly. I had to swamp vegetables in tomato sauce. Now, this is a typical day. It is divided into 3 parts that include a focus on research, inquiry, and communication skills in a group learning environment. Proficiency in core facts are honed in a more structured classroom. Then students are involved in activities related to a certain project. This is where the vegetables get hidden in the soup, as students spend about 60% of their day outside the classroom in a hands-on learning where a high level of engagement occurs. When they return to the classroom, the more structured English, math, or science classes are connected to something tangible, bringing the education to life. And what happens once they graduate? Many have managed to go to Ivy League universities. That's amazing, right? The feedback from these schools is that the students have a high level of critical and independent thinking, problem solving, combined with an ability to reason. So that's pretty special.
Yeah.
And I keep coming into contact with these worksheets more and more. The kids that we're working with, they're just given worksheets, and it drives me crazy. It's just the laziest form of teaching, in my humble opinion. Not so humble. It's a terrible waste.
I agree. Besides being kind of lazy, it's just like outdated. We know that so many better ways of getting learning across to produce to the masses, I guess, is why.
And Ron always says, when it comes to hands-on learning, true knowledge is experiential. You can read all you like about a certain subject, but until you actually experience it, that's where the true knowledge comes in.
The other thing that I've noticed with people that I've worked with, especially in the higher levels of math, they're going like, why do I have to do this? This kind of approach would give them the answer.
And Sharon and I were talking just now. We've been doing this for about 20 years, and honestly and truthfully, there is a huge difference in the children that we're working with at the moment for all sorts of different reasons. But the one that bothers me the most, not all the children, but it's like that curiosity isn't there. It's like the love of learning, maybe because it's been delivered on worksheets. And I don't know what it could be, but all I know is that there are easy outs. I've heard that many schools now say they can't fail, right? So if they're going through each grade and they know they can't fail, they'll get a Chromebook, they have spell check, they can use AI, they can use ChatGPT. Did I say speech to text and text to speech, all that sort of thing. So when you actually look at it, are we really fostering that curiosity?
I even just think of the difference between when I was a kid 30 some years ago. The difference between my childhood and my kids, for instance, is my parents were like, see you later. And you went outside and you played with the neighborhood kids, and we would get into all kinds of trouble. We'd climb trees. We disappeared for the entire day doing whatever it was we were doing, figuring things out, building forts out of ferns and doing things like that. There seems to be way less of community approach with kids growing up now. They're all involved in activities and events. And if you don't have your kids signed up to 3 or 4 different activities, what are you doing as a parent? My kids get one activity. That's it. That's all I can handle getting them to. So the rest of the time, they got to be imaginative and figuring it out on their own. Nobody does things at home anymore. Kids aren't allowed to be bored anymore.
I was going to say that. It's so important for it to be bored.
Yeah, because then they have to use their imagination.
And Google is there, and Siri, and they're all there if you don't know something.
I kind of feel like the Google thing actually is kind of fun. We do like things with our family. Oh, I wonder what the population is of New York City. Is that more than BC?
No, that's fair.
So we, as a family, we do things like, well, let's Google that and see. And then we all learn something new that day. So
if you use Google as their encyclopedia.
You're still showing curiosity when you're asking.
Yeah, but you've introduced that curiosity as well. Sharon goes on to say, outside of using the Davis method, this could be deemed as a dyslexic-friendly school because of the small class sizes, the project-based learning, the personalized attention, the hands-on learning, and the fact that mistakes are seen as learning opportunities. I think she's going to rate all these different schools according to various standards.
The school that Orson is enrolled in right now is actually through School District 47, and it's called Partners in Education, PI. And it's a hybrid program. So 2 days a week, he's in an outdoor school. So in some ways, it's like the Canadian version of this.
Is that a public school, Jessica?
It is. The beautiful thing that I see when I drop my kid off or pick him up is all the kids are so friendly. Like even from day one, their curiosity is really fostered there. And they ask questions, their questions are taken. It's such a difference to talk to kids who've had their questions answered and their curiosity fostered versus kids who've had that squashed a bit. Not only allowed to question things, they're encouraged to.
Maybe, Jessica, you could talk more in one of our sessions about this type of school.
Yeah.
So just to finish off, Sharon says, unlike traditional brick and mortar schools, you say this green school appears to be toxin-free, an added bonus for children who struggle with environmental sensitivities, which affect learning. There is a sense of belonging and connection to the outside world. It defies traditional methods by providing a new model of education, nurturing the whole child, which is rather wonderful, with creativity and curiosity, as you say, suggest, taking the main stage, and no wonder it is described as being joyous. It is a school without walls that ignites the senses and the natural curiosity of children. It is a place where people come together from all corners of the globe to share new experiences.
The only thing that I couldn't find out was they didn't talk about what they do with people with reading challenges. They didn't address that, which I was sort of hoping that they would, especially since the founder claims to be dyslexic.
Good point.
Maybe they don't have reading problems there.
Well, I guess it depends on whether you allow them to be creative, in some ways. It's a good question.
Sounds like a really great school. I just love the whole idea of, and the parents participate in the school too, quite a bit. The parents are very welcomed and needed in the school. So there's shared learning experience with them as well as the community.
It sounds like it was built with intention. The whole concept was thought out. It was built around fostering that curiosity.
Did they ever mention about learning to read? No, not at all.
No, in some of my research, it sounds like they promote a lot of playing in the early years, which seems kind of key to an awful lot of stuff in other schools that I'm looking at, and get more serious in academics as 7 or 8, which is similar to another place that we will be featuring next time. I won't reveal the secret.
You do say about they've managed to get to Ivy League universities, so there has to be an element of reading and math.
Yeah.
Maybe this reading happens like the vegetables in the soup, rather than pointed exercise.
At the age of 7, cognitively, you're prepared to handle more abstract things, which is symbols and...
Thank you very, very much for this article. It sounds amazing. And
yes.
I'm glad that you're enjoying your research. And thank you for all of the contributions. And our next session will be March the 1st, and we are disappearing off to Finland. But I've heard very good reports of education in Finland, so I'm interested to find out. Thank you for doing this. This is the first step in our spreadsheet that comes up with the best education around the world. And we will see you next time, March the 1st, 4:30. Come to the Dyslexic table.